This is TWiT.
Yesterday on This Week in Google, because I produced This Week in Google for Leo and the gang, and they were talking a little bit about the Samsung event. Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event happened yesterday morning. Ron Richards, my co-host on All About Android, and I were up bright and early. It was 6 a.m. in the morning watching Samsung's event. But yesterday on This Week in Google, part of the conversation around this became just a general kind of lack of excitement, lack of interest, maybe not necessarily in these phones, but in phones in general. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. We're also going to talk about like what these devices actually are. And our guest, Florence Ion, another co-host on All About Android from Gizmodo, joins us right now to talk all about it. Welcome back, Flo.
Caw. Hello, everybody.
Oh, I see it in the sky. It's a flying fold.
Yeah, this is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 that I'm holding. I'm actually setting it up right now, right as we were starting the show, getting my account all synced up because I am diving into this review. And so I felt we should just lead out of the gate with it because it's in my hand. Here it is.
I mean, and what's kind of interesting is in the event yesterday, Samsung really kind of saved this for later. It was kind of two parts. It was like the first, I'd say 2/3 of the event was, here are the things that most people are going to be interested in. And then the last two devices, the Fold 4 and then the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, were more like, these are like aspirational devices that certain people are going to be interested in. So the Z Fold 4, I'm losing track now, is a expensive device, but definitely one for a very particular type of user. And you had some hands-on time with it, obviously, outside of just receiving it yesterday. What are your thoughts?
So far, I have to say that like the build is really impressive, I have to say. I did not get to go hands-on with the last couple generations of the Fold. This is actually my first time holding the Fold in particular. I am much more used to the Flip. I did write the review for that last year, and I do have actually the Flip here. I don't want to jump ahead, but eventually we'll get to this because I did promise that I would take the sealant off of this. So that's coming up.
That's a tease.
It's coming up. So there's a teaser. But yeah, so far, so again, I haven't had a chance to use any of the software. So I'm, except for the like 10 minutes that I had with it, which I was actually in New York City last week. I actually slept through the event yesterday because I took the day off. I took the day off.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I appreciate you telling me kind of what like the structure was. And I do think that like the Fold, because it is the most expensive, I mean, this starts at $1,800. This is going to be the one that's the bigger leap. You're going to take a bigger jump into it in terms of lifestyle, right? Because this isn't just a phone. It's also a tablet.
Ooh, there we go. And they've kind of maximized a few things I've noticed. The outer screen, they've kind of stretched that out just a little bit more. It's kind of marginal improvements over last year's model. The inside screen, I think, a little bit more. Obviously, we don't have the notch, that big obnoxious notch. They got rid of that, I think, last year. But now we've got the under display camera. So in some ways, this phone seems to be a representation of Samsung's pushing to its edge, quite literally with the displays actually, but pushing to its edge. Some of these features are things you're going to probably start seeing in their other premium devices in the next couple of years. They start here.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm very happy to see that the spec list is a lot more on par with the Galaxy S22 lineup, because that's the flagship. Like that's the one that comes right out of the gate and sort of sets the tone for us for the rest of the year and like what we're going to see from Samsung. There's a slight bump up in processor from this. It's a Snapdragon 8 Plus instead of, just a Reg. So a little bit. This one automatically comes with 12 gigs of RAM, which I think is sort of essential because you have that bigger screen and Samsung wants you to multitask with it. I mean, it did a partnership with Microsoft on some of the apps. And what I can tell you about the software is that Android 12L is built inside of this. So the version of One UI that you are getting on this has the Android 12L backbone. And everything that was and is in Android 12L is getting rolled up into Android 13 so that eventually all the devices in Android land are up to par, theoretically.
Right.
We know how these things usually go. So that part is exciting because you're getting this taskbar interface on the inside.
I like that.
Opening. Yeah, it's like having a phone on the front and then you open up and you kind of get that, I want to say, it's a very Chrome OS-like interface.
Yeah, I totally agree. When they were showing it off on the live stream, I was like, oh man, these lines, they're blurring more and more. But it really makes sense on that larger screen to have that taskbar down there, especially now that Android 12L and beyond has more kind of built-in support for dual screen kind of moving apps or moving documents between one app to another. It's, it's just becoming more desktop-like. And on a tablet form factor, that makes a lot of sense, which makes this phone that's also a tablet very powerful.
Yeah, it also, by the way, is compatible with the S Pen, and you can buy a very nice slim silicone case that can go on top of this. It fits really nicely. There's a picture of it in my slideshow on Gizmodo.com. I didn't get to use the S Pen, unfortunately, and I also don't have the S Pen, like the nice chunky one that you can buy to work with this. So unfortunately, that's not something that I will get to immediately touch. But I do have, shall we segue into the Flippy one?
Yeah, indeed. Let's do it. Because honestly, this is probably the most important announcement from yesterday, the Z Flip 4, which, I mean, as of last year, really became, you're peeling it off. You're peeling off the cellophane. Oh, it's so satisfying. I'll just let it sound. Oh, there we go. There's some people out there in ASMR land who are just going crazy right now. But I mean, this is the device that is kind of taking Samsung's forward thinking, like, hey, we've got this idea for foldable devices. We think it's going to be the latest and greatest, next thing. This is really the crossover device for people because it's only $999. Well, I say only, that's still very expensive. But for flagship specs, for cutting edge kind of foldable technology, they've been doing it 4 years now. So Samsung's well ahead of the pack as far as being able to iterate on this device and really kind of perfect it. And this is the device that's going to appeal to a lot of people.
I definitely agree. And right now what I'm doing is I'm actually wiping the one from last year so I can do a very quick little comparison and show you the edges are much more refined on this year's generation of the Flip 4 versus last year's Flip 3. So here they are just from the back. This is the Flip 3 from last year and this is the Flip 4. They look very much the same, but I can tell you that in the hand, this one feels thinner. It feels less narrow, and actually you can see it's a very tiny bit of a difference. In person, you can see it a lot more widely. This, of course, feels more loose on the hinge because I have been able to break it in for the last year, whereas this one definitely feels like, oh, this is a brand new device.
Yeah, it's tight.
I have to say, very satisfying, incredibly satisfying to do that still. I did actually see some people out in the wild when I was in New York City with this phone, which I haven't seen here in the Bay Area for whatever reason. So there are people out there who I guess are buying this. Samsung did say that this is their most popular foldable, which I'm not surprised. It's the most affordable of the bunch. And it's the most like generalized facing. I mean, you're not going to buy a fold unless you really want to live with that tablet on the inside. And some people just might find that too cumbersome. This is a lot more of a like middle ground for the foldable, just where we're going in terms of foldables. We're going back to flip phones.
Right. Yeah. It kind of seems that way. And I mean, again, like we've gotten so used to the candy bar size smartphone, the full, I guess in this case, the unfolded Z Flip. But now being able to fold it into a more compact, yes, it's a little bit thicker when you do that, but that allows you to put it into a lot more places. That allows that and a number of other reasons to be a lifestyle sort of product. One of their announcements, of course, being, and this is not new, by the way. Last year, they did it with the Z Flip series as well. But now you can combine colors on the two different rear glass panels and then a different color on the hinge to get up to somewhere, I think it's like 71 different possible combinations of colors.
75.
To customize it. 75. There we go. So this is just a phone that's priced low enough to appeal to a lot of people, but I mean, for many different reasons, this is eye-catching, and it just seems like this is as much lifestyle as it is kind of, the things you use it for.
I will say about that bespoke program, the colors that you can choose from, they're 5 colors, and they're just bold colors comparative to the pastels that the original, like right off the shelf ones come with. Because you get this nice purple. It's called Bora purple. And I learned that Bora is actually the Korean word for purple. So
it's purple.
Yeah, it's a nod. It's a nod to the homeland. And there's also a very pretty blue one. There's a black one, of course, as well. And then I think there's a pink one. So those are the 4 off-the-shelf colors available versus you could get like blue, black, red, green, very sort of primary colors. And, they just put it right together when you do that whole bespoke program. They just plop on the casing and then just ship it to you. So
that's awesome. I mean, it's awesome.
I just thought that was kind of... Yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting, like the way that they're sort of saying, like, we could just put this together for you, no problem, versus it's very Moto X of Samsung.
Yes, absolutely. Moto Maker. You got to give props to Moto Maker, who did this very, very well years ago. And it was one of the key standout things for that device. So I think you get it here. We are quickly running out of time. This time goes fast on this show, so I apologize. But couple of quick questions. Another announcement was the Galaxy Watch 5 series. And I have to say, when I was watching live, I think I even made a comment to Ron. I saw the 5 Pro. And I don't know if you have the 5 or the 5 Pro, but I saw the 5 Pro and I was like, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing some complaints from Flo as far as like this fitting on everybody's wrist, because that thing looks like a chonker. But you're saying that the 5 that you have right now actually is the same size as the 4.
Yeah, they're both. It's 40 millimeter and 44 millimeter, 2 sizes for this. The 44 millimeter, by the way, has a very pretty blue chassis with a blue strap. So you might want to check that out if you can handle a bit of a bigger display. The Pro, I actually offloaded onto somebody else at Gizmodo because I knew that I tried it on with the buckle. It has one of those D-strap buckles, the ones that you kind of like tighten from the inside. And I've never liked that. So I could already tell that this is not for me. Like, I am just a very casual watch wearer. I just want to track my steps and my walks and my sleep from time to time. So thank goodness they kept it. I do think it's interesting, this feels slightly thicker, I think, because there's the infrared sensor in there. The temperature sensor is the big thing on this new watch, but it's not quite available yet. Yeah. So once again, I don't know. I'm going to see. I'm going to wear both of them at the same time. I'm going to test it out. Clearly the comfort level will be the same, but if you're just looking for an upgrade, I will be saying if it's worth it going from a 4 to 5, which I'm sort of instinctually feeling like it's not worth it. Yeah, interesting. Okay, final question, and this is touching back onto what I kind of started this segment off with, is that discussion yesterday where there was just a total lack of excitement or energy. Not necessarily, I don't think it was directed at these devices in general, but have we, in your opinion, kind of hit a point to where phones are so is such the thing that just everybody has. We've had them forever. There's really not much that can surprise us or excite us the way it used to. Is that just where we are now? Should we just kind of accept the fact that phones aren't nearly as exciting as they used to be, or do you feel differently? Son, I do believe it's the economy. I just kind of feel like because of where we are right now, this maybe doesn't hit as hard as it would have for a lot of other people, because people right now are less inclined to go out and adopt something for the sheer, adoption of it all. I feel like people right now are making much more calculated buying decisions. And so it would be very interesting once the next Google Pixel comes out to see what is selling and what people gravitate, because I think that's where we will see how people are spending their money. And my theory is that it's going to be just buying Old Faithful. But it's nice that Samsung still has the money to do this and just
totally. I mean, they're driving, no doubt about it. They are driving the industry when it comes to foldables. They've been in longer than anyone else. They've been able to iterate enough that right now they can kind of afford to be a little boring because everybody else still has to play catch up. And so that's not a bad place to be. That allows them to refine and put out a high quality product. So Florence Ion, you are awesome. I love any chance I get to talk with you. And luckily for me, you're on All About Android once a month. So I get a lot of chances to talk with you. But you also write for Gizmodo.com. You do Material Podcast with Andy Anatko. Anything else that I'm missing?
No, just go to flowrights.tech if you want to read all my bylines, and come back for All About Android later this month because I'll have the full review of all this stuff. So something to look forward to.
Right on. Thank you, Flo. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.